So now that we've gone through the trouble of identifying and lighting up pegs that get hit by the ball, maybe the next step is to start removing them once the ball moves off screen. And come to think of it, maybe while we're at it, we should remove the ball, since right now it is still falling in space and taking up my game's processing time, even though it is now way outside the size of our screen. So we need to look at the general way of removing actors from our game. Now the steps for removing an actor are basically the steps you kind of need to create an actor, but kind of in reverse. So the first thing I like to do is do some general cleanup. Most of the time this involves removing the event listeners. If I've added any to my actor, I always like to kind of take the time to remove them explicitly. I've heard that you can also not deal with this step by having all the references weak, but this one book I read told me that I should probably remove them explicitly. So I've just gotten in the habit of doing that. So first things first, let's just do any cleanup we have to do on our actor. Second thing we probably want to do is remove the sprites from the scene. And then the third thing we want to do is destroy the body, remove the B2 body from the world. And we can do that using the destroy body function that is built into B2 world. You basically pass it in the body you want to destroy and it destroys it. However, we'll need to make sure we don't call this function from within our B2 contact listener or anytime within our world step function, because removing a body at the wrong time can cause bad things to happen to your world. And then finally, we'll probably want to remove our actor from this all actors array that we've set up to track all of the actors in our world. But where do we find a safe place to do it all? That is a good question. Let's go back and look at our code. Now I suppose one way we could do it is within our actor's child-specific updating function. This is basically a function that's being called during update now, which we know happens after our world step function is called. Maybe this is a time we could check and see if a remove me now flag has been turned on, and if so, we can maybe within this function start to clean up and remove the actor. On the other hand, this still seems a little strange, just in that if we look at our new frame listener, the actor is basically going to remove itself during this update now function, but yet we then still have to kind of keep track of it so we can remove it later from the all actors array. And I actually just find it gets a little messy. So here's the way I like to do it. And you don't have to do it this way, but I think this happens to work nicely. So first things first, we have this function that I've set up called destroy within the actor. Remember this one way back when I told you I would get to it later? Well, this is where I'm getting to it. This is the function I'm actually going to call within the actor that will remove the costume, remove the body, remove any event listeners, do any other cleanup that might need to be done at this point. Now, where I'm going to call that destroy function is going to be a very separate, very encapsulated space in our code. And the way it's going to generally work is this. Within my main Puggle class, I'm going to create a public function that's going to be called remove actor. And it will pass in an actor to remove. And what this function is basically going to do is mark an actor to be removed later at a safe time. It won't actually remove anything. And then in my new frame listener, I'm going to call a function called, let's call it really remove actors. And this function is a private function, and this will actually remove the actors that have been marked for deletion in my remove actor function. So to summarize how this is going to go, at any point I'll be able to call remove actor from my contact listener, from my main class, from the actor itself. The idea being that I want this to be a safe function. I won't have to worry about, am I at the right point in my processing to remove the actor, because this is sort of the safe way of removing an actor. In fact, why don't I call it, just to remind myself that it's safe, I'm going to call it safe remove actor, because what it's going to do is mark an actor to be removed, and then at this very explicit point in my new frame listener, once I'm done calling step, once I'm done calling update now, going through my all actors array, this is the point where I say, okay, all those actors I've marked to be removed safely, I can now actually remove. So now that we've kind of seen how the strategy works, let's put it into practice in the next lesson.